Hi, everyone. Thank you to join us today. My name is Sonia Hernandez. I'm the Chief of ESG Operation at National Bank. So to begin, prior to telling you what I will, which topic I will cover today, I will present myself. I'm chief, like I said, but I'm a graduate from a Bachelor in Finance and International Businesses. I also did an audit, a Master in Audit and Control, and I have my CPA. So that was my academic background, I will say. I'm like almost 25 years into the financial institution. I worked primarily at the beginning of my career in Banque de Montréal. I was an account manager. I did retail and commercial. So up to about 10 million of credit that I was lending to businesses. And after that, I did a small jump to a telecom company named Rogers, Fido at the time. And after I joined National Bank, where I did a lot of different roles, when I entered National Bank 14 years ago, I was in IT. So I was taking care of IT, the supplier, and all this. After I moved to finance, because of my background, I started to do the cost allocation, that we changed the way we do it. After I did some profitability of clients, that was a project. So I did a lot of finance. That's what that helped me to understand better different part of the bank. And after I moved to the office transformation offices, that was we have that at National Bank for 2 years. So we want to change, to bring some transformation in the process on the way we do, we take care of our employees and all this. So, and the way we manage investment, because for a long time I was taking care of the investment portfolio at the bank. That means project. All banks or institutions have big portfolio investment in technology that we invest. And after that, my position was abolished. So what they offer me is to say, hey, do you feel like a new challenge? We put in place a new practice, the ESG practice. Do you feel like to be the chief of that? So I say yes. So from the last 24 months, I'm the chief of ESG operation at National Bank. So, and I will tell you what we need in soft skill and all this at the end of my presentation. But the fact that I did a lot of different part of the the banks, the financial institution, helped me in what I do right now, because I know a lot of process, so I can better understand what the reality of different line of business. So today, what I will present you, what is ESG, to make sure that everybody understand what is this, what that represent for banking industry and stakeholder and expectation related to the banking industry mainly. Also the ESG career opportunity in a bank. And naturally, I will answer all your questions that you have. That's good for you, everyone. So Nick, the people ask me the question at the end or ever they want?
Up to you, really.
But honestly, if you want to stop me, you have a question on the slide I will present you, I'm all good that you stop me and raise your hand. That's good. The only thing, somebody can help me for the raise L.
Yeah, I will let you know if someone has a question, raise your hand so I can see it, and I will just say someone has a question.
Excellent. So now we start. So often we hear about sustainability development, ESG, social responsibility, and ESG. So it's like two different things, but all of those three are related. What is important to understand, so sustainability development, we need to see it like more in the, do you see yourself in the, or you see all my sleep? Sorry. Just, oh yeah, perfect. Okay. So sustainability development is the way that we develop what you do today, and what the way we live will not compromise or jeopardize the needs and the future generation on their needs. Meaning, if you use water and we waste water today, maybe our children or grandchildren will not have water. If we don't take care of women's or indigenous or visible maturity, maybe in 20 years from now they will not have a place in the world. So it's important what we do now that will help to our children and grandchildren to be better, and the world they will live on will be more sustainable, more better than what we do now. So social responsibility, what that means is what they say, okay, you say sustainability development, the goal is to have a better world. Everybody is agree on that. But social responsibility is, okay, perfect. What do you do today? What initiative you put in place right now that will contribute to those sustainability development in the different area? Because ESG means environmental, social, and governance. So on those three letters, what do you do differently that will make sure that our next generation will have a better world? And after, when we go, what is ESG? ESG is the criteria you put in place to measure those initiatives, and not financial ways, not in the money wise. We need to think differently. What really impact? How we really help the community? How we really help women, children? How we help to that wastewater? This is the way we need to see it. So it's really a chain, but all of those are important. So after, what I would like to see, who is the stakeholders? Who ask us the question regarding banks? I will say those stakeholders are mainly the same for all industries. It's not just for institutional, for banking side. So we have plenty. We have our employees, the clients, the community, the suppliers, the shareholders, investor. We have some rating agency that rate the ESG performance of an institution. And naturally, we have the regulator. So what they ask us? They ask us to contribute to a fair energy and social transition. Meaning today, it's really cold outside. It's normal, it's not normal. How the institution can contribute the fact that we have a climate issue right now. How an institution can contribute to the fact that we integrate minorities, indigenous, women, person with handicap in our workplace. So that's one. Sorry, my French English sometimes, and I'm tired. It's a little, my words missing. So I'm sorry about that. Meeting involving requirement. Make sure that today in ESG, what is important to understand is what is good today is maybe wrong tomorrow or is not enough. And often what I'm saying to my team is like, what we do now, tomorrow, maybe we'll need to relearn again and restart, because people will ask us something different or more. So we always, when stakeholder, what they expect is that you evaluate. You always need to improve every year. You need to do something different and show that you improve. That's really important. Mitigate ESG risk and size opportunity. You have to mitigate your risk because you're a bank. The bank is, we manage risk. So, okay, what's the risk of climate risk? Yeah, but what is your workforce risk also? Because some of them, they may leave. They may be sick. They may be the way you give to money to community. You mitigate those risks. Make sure that they appreciate what we do for them. Also, so you have an opportunity to help this transition, to finance it, to put some. To give we have, all the banks have a philanthropy portfolio. How we do it differently, align with the ODD. So make sure that we do it proper with the sustainability development goal. Integrated ESG criteria into the value chain. What is important, and stakeholder ask us, is ESG is not just, and we'll see it the other slide and 2 slides. ESG cover all the process of a bank. So you need to enter it in your social and your risk on your retail side, commercial one, financial market, all the different line of business, investment on your product also need to integrate ESG. And also because the stakeholders have always need that always different every year, they have more needs. They want us to maintain an open dialogue and ongoing all the time. They want to talk to us often, maybe it's once a year, sometimes it's 2-5 times a year, depend on the stakeholders. So one principle of responsible banking, that National Bank was the first North America bank to be one of the first North America, but the first Canadian one to join it, say that through their activity, banks have to collect power to accelerate the transition to a more sustainability economy for people and the planet, because for them, banks have the money. If we don't lend, we have the control on the investment. So we have a big player on that. So naturally, you're in businesses. So mainly often naturally, you know that banks are evaluated on the financial statement. So how much money you did, how much dividend you give. Okay, but how we are evaluate ESG? We are evaluated now right now. We are evaluated by all the stakeholders that you saw in different ways. We have clients that send us survey, ask us, what did you do specifically for climate? What do you do for philanthropy, social, whatever? They have plenty of questions. We have institutional analysts that say, okay, I will not buy some sustainability bonds from your bank if we don't find that the scoring of the bank is appropriate for us, because our investor, we represent investors, and they tend to have certain goal in their world. Also, we have ESG rating agency, and naturally, all the national and international organizations look at us. So mainly what they always ask us, and this is where it's important to understand that now greenwashing and social washing is really hard for any company or any banks to do, because they ask us, what's your strategy? So you have to explain. So maybe prior, you can say your strategy was X and Y, and then finally you're doing Z. But after now, what they ask us is, oh, by the way, what's your governance? What's your process? Who is accountable for that? How you integrate that strategy in your activities? And after say, perfect, you did all that, but you're a bank, you need to measure yourself. What's your KPI? What's your target? And I need you to report that annually to show me the progress of it. This is what they ask us. And after, perfect, audit. We want somebody, a third party, to come and to look into all this and to see, okay, it is true what you're saying or not. And sometimes they will ask us specific certification. Maybe example for building. See, if we say, oh, our building is LEED, is perfect. Where's your certification? So that's an example. I'm okay for now, no too fast. I'm not going too fast. Okay, perfect. So now, what's ESG? Like I said, touch all the different process of the bank. So if we look at the E for environmental, so that's touch a lot the climate risk management. So in two ways. One question they have, so how you manage it for the bank, how you manage your physical and transition risk. So I will just, I don't know if everybody's know what is a financial, physical risk or transition risk. I may take 1 minute to explain it to all of you. So physical risk is the change that will happen, like we'll have a lot of, will not rain enough, or we have a wind power, like a tornado, that, or maybe it will have frozen in the summer, so we'll not be able to have strawberries because it will be too cold in summer. So that's is like catastrophic. That's physical. Transition, you have 4 ways of transition. You have a change under regulation. Legislation can change, so maybe what they will ask you will be different. That's one risk. The second risk is the technology. The technology you use now may be different. The third one is the behavior of your customer. Maybe today they ask to buy bio, they ask to buy local, they don't want a product coming from, example, China. They want to make sure that when they buy something, it's local and somebody you use the right human rights when you do it. So this is one. And the fourth is reputation. Are you sticking for what you say? If you say A, are you really doing it? So this is the fourth one. So today, the bank needs to manage in 2 topics in the way that for himself. So do I, example, take care of my building? Do I manage my physical risk? This is one question. Do I manage the transition risk? Because also our customer today ask us specific product. They ask us some investment that is ESG related or ODD aligned, or they ask us, hey, I want to buy an electric car. Can I have a special rate? I want to, like company, they want maybe to have loans with a sustainability linked loan, meaning that the condition of the loan are related to sustainability goals of the company. So because themselves, they need to change. So this is, do we adapt ourselves? This is one question. This is for the bank, So after, what we need to manage is the risk of the clients, our loan portfolio clients mainly. Say, okay, if something happened, what will happen to our loss? Will increase? It will be not changing? What's the impact? And also in the transition one, is example, the carbon tax will happen to our company? What will happen if now nobody will buy some product of this client because it's not including ESG in their strategy or product? This is something that we have to manage. The way we do it is by scenario. And this is one. Also, carbon footprint. So the bank need to calculate their carbon footprint. So yes, for our own operation, so for our building, for traveling, all this, but also the impact of our supply chain, because we have suppliers. We need to know, our supplier, our ESG, they are committed to net zero or not? We need to ask, we need to calculate those. We're not there, all banks are not there yet, because a lot of our supply chain is not the big impact on our footprint. The biggest one is our naturally investment that is composed of our loan portfolio. So all the banks now are committed to net zero. So, and they all signed the Net Zero Banking Alliance. That meaning that we'll need to put target in place on the following 3 years. So this is the place that all the banks will start to calculate the footprint of the loans portfolio. So also we need to work on the building and workspace to make sure they are certified LEED or WELL certification to show that we really walk the talk. And also the way with natural resources, make sure that we take care of the water, and not just for us. You say, yeah, a bank, you use like the bathroom, that's about it, or the kitchen for the water, but it's mainly, do you ask the question for your client also? Do you make sure that your client's taking care of the water? And also something that's coming that I didn't put it yet because not necessarily define what they will expect from us is biodiversity. All the banks will help biodiversity, the new challenge. I would say not new because a portion is related to climate risk, but is a new topic that is start to be. And the bank will have to act on it also. So social, on the social part, naturally, the employee wellness, how we attract and retain clients, how we take care of them, how we make sure that during COVID time, how we make sure we're there for them. The fact that the children, naturally, you may not have children, I don't know. But example, me 2 years ago, I was with my 2 kids at home doing a mom. I was a teacher, I was a mom, and I was a worker. So national banks say, okay, what do we do with the kind of person? What do we do for this employee? Do we help them? Do we say, hey, relax, adjust your agenda, we'll manage, adjust your priorities? This is what the kind is employee wellness that shows people ask us on the ESG. We'll say inclusion and diversity, like you naturally read the newspapers, you know what happened. Some murder happened in the United States, some really that bring back inclusion and diversity in a more broader way, I would say more plus d'actualité. So that asks us a lot to say, okay, perfect. What is really our commitment to make sure that they have a place? They're allowed also, they have the right, they have a place, and we make a place for them. And so that happened that banks mainly did some target for different segments to make sure that people see that we're engaged to include them in our workplace. They have a place for them. They also ask us on the social part is more sustainability product to make sure that we have product for them, and also that we protect them on the way that this is partnership on improving financial literacy, the way we take care of the entrepreneur, faster innovation, all this. So they ask us, what do you do exactly in the social part? How you help community? What's your strategy on philanthropy? How you give back to the community? How you help? They'll see this on the social one. Governance. I will say governance is the part that institution, banking institution, was the more strong. This is the part that we have a lot of regulation related to governance. We have a lot of on cybersecurity, data, personal information. So this is something that was more, I will say, in the bank, more established and more integrated. The social one, environmental, something are new, the expectation, but on the governance one, because of the legislation, is something that I will say is more already embedded in the process and strategy of all the banks. So in governance, they ask us the corporate governance. Okay, perfect. ESG. What's your governance related to ESG? Who do you give? Who's your boss? Who's in charge? The board is need to approve or not? Do the top management are evaluate on ESG criteria? Those are the questions they ask us on the governance, corporate governance. Cybersecurity and data management naturally is more how we manage that at the risk, the fact that people will enter in our system, and how we manage the data, how we make sure that, example, the client give us access to use the data. And do we need all those data? And if we work with the supplier, do we give back the name or information of our clients? That's normally we're not allowed. So how you manage that? And personal information. This is also a big key. Do we need to ask you all this information? That's what the people ask us. Do we need to know your social insurance number? Do we need to know what's your mother's name or occupation, whatever? All the information we can have. So now we are challenged to make sure that it's privacy policy. And if, example, you leave the bank, are you allowed to say, erase all the information related to me on all your system? Are you allowed to ask us that? This is the question, and what is our policies and what the process that we put in place to make sure if you do so, we will erase all the information. And naturally, public disclosure that the stakeholders always ask us to, because I forgot to mention it, but all the stakeholders want us to disclose publicly everything we do. For them, if it's not public, don't exist. So if you don't say what's your target and inclusion diversity, if you don't say that, example, that's really a funny one, but example, they ask us how we manage paternity and maternity leaves. We're in Canada. This is something that we mainly have access, but we did need to disclose it because some stakeholders are in Europe or in Africa or in Asia. It's not the same. So we need to disclose it. So never think that is not important. Some of the topic that show that you're taking well care of the social, of the social, environmental, or governance topics that the stakeholder ask us. That's fine. Okay, I just want to present you some the international framework and commitment. I will not go through all of them. It's mainly to show you that it exists a lot of different international framework, a lot of different commitment. And sometimes you can get lost because the difference is not that big, but a lot of them are all aligned with the Paris Agreement, I would say, for the environmental ones, like United Nations Net Zero Banking Alliance or the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosure. But others are more generic, and they will be aligned more with the United Nations Stability Development Goal, the 17 that have. So example, Black North Initiative, United Nations Women in Power Principle. So today, you have international framework and commitment for mainly all the different letters, and you have more than one for all the letters. What is important to say is right now you have different framework to disclose the way you do it, disclose your ESG. So you can use Sustainability Accounting Standard Board, like commonly called SASB. That's the way that investor put that in place. So you're able to, for each kind of industry, compare You have the same question to answer, so you can compare what the answer of each one, and you can evaluate what you find it's better. You also can use global reporting initiative like GRI. It also covered different topics. So it's a choice that you can do. I will say GRI is longer established. SASB is more more new than GRI, but SASB often for financial institution is more appropriate. So depending of which kind of industry you are in, you can choose. But all the banks normally disclose both of them. Okay, now ESG career and opportunity at the bank. So I would say in general at all the different banks, what's the different ESG opportunity that you have. But first thing I think it's important to mention, to do ESG, you need the soft skill also. You need to have some leadership. You need to have influence also. You need to also be curious, always to try to learn and read and enjoy the fact that you may be wrong today or tomorrow because you will have to change strategy. So this is, you have a mindset you have to, because often one of my employees say, we need to be an Amazon to be ESG, because you need to know what is this, understand all the process, and after I say perfect, okay, I understand. Or maybe I need to build some team or work group to understand better. And after I say, okay, we'll fix an objective. And after, okay, perfect, I fixed the objective, but I need people, because one people in ESG cannot do everything. We need everybody to work together. And after you do that, oh, you may do a roadmap, but make sure that your roadmap, maybe 2 months ago, you will change it. So you need to always evaluate your roadmap and adjust it. And after, naturally, you need to always to make everybody on the common focus. It's not a personal one, it's a common one. That's important. ESG, you don't do it for yourself. It's not about you and me. It's about bring all together to make a better world. I know I've seen a lot theoretically, but it's true. And when you work in ESG, you need to have that in mind. So what's the different opportunity? You can be an ESG expert, so a generalist, like a little bit like me. I naturally, because I touch a lot of different group and different group at the bank, like I touch risk, client, finance, I did transformation, I did IT, I understand a lot of process. So that's what helped me is when I go see people, and I did data. So I see people, I can understand their issue. I can have idea how to implement. But that, you don't have to be a general. Today, if you're curious and you go look information and read, you can be anything. You can advance and go have those same discussion, my point is. So this is something that you can do. An example, my team, we do a disclosing. We do all the disclosing that National does. We answer to all the different rating agency survey that we have. And they work a lot with and influence all the different line of business at the bank to integrate ESG and their process also. This is one way you can do. You can specialize yourself in responsible investment. So how you manage funds according to ESG criteria. And also, so this is one topic that you can have a lot of future also, because a lot of people now want to invest, mainly the institutional investors, I will say, invest on some, we'll say, funds that are ESG criteria, but I will say that the common people right now are not there, that they're not all there. After, you can work in sustainability finance. So that's more in the financial market area. That is how the financial package align with ESG criteria for business clients. So how you can help them to maybe buy their supplier to make sure that it will be more ESG, or how they can reduce their footprint, or they can maybe invest on some technology to have on clean techs to make sure that maybe they will reduce the waste of water, example. This is sustainability finance. Other specialized function, you can, because ESG is so broad, you can work in inclusion diversity. You can work in risk management, to establish scenario for managing climate risk. You can also work in responsible procurement. How you work with suppliers to make sure they integrate ESG. You can work in philanthropy. You can work also in data and make sure that when we do some model, you don't have bias on the model. So this is one way to do ESG. So ESG is not like the corporate one, the person who's always doing the disclosure, talk to stakeholders. In the different process to a bank, you can have a portion of your mandate that are dedicated to ESG. But the future field of expertise, and that's, I think, something that right now it's really hard to find in the market. It's a footprint calculation and investment alignment with GHG. Like I said prior, footprint calculation means not just calculating the building of example, a bank or the branch, but it's calculating, example, what is the footprint of the loan portfolio by industry, by sector, and what is the footprint of an investment? When you invest money, what's the footprint of the company we invest on if you had all of them together? And after is, okay, if you have investment, how are they aligned with the SDG? There are more social one, they're more environmental one, which one they cover? So today, not a lot of company, or même like Caisse de Dépôt, others, we're trying to do so, but we need people, and really it's not an easy one. And more than a position, ESG is state of mind. So you can do ESG anywhere. You have to have in mind to how we can do this better for the next generation. This is always something that you have in mind, everything you do. So now it's question season.
Alrighty, I would maybe, Sonia, if you want to stop sharing your screen so you can see all the
that would be awesome.
I'm sure there are a lot of questions. I have quite a few, but
yeah,
I invite the audience to go for it.
Yeah, I have a question. This one's kind of like, it might be like a bit too specific, but for like sustainable finance, like on the last slide, like we work on financial packages aligned with ESG criteria. So it's like, how do you balance including like sustainable companies versus also like making enough of a profit? Because I feel like now, at least for me personally, investing in like a sustainable package is like, I feel a little like shaky on that. Like I don't feel like it's like kind of unpredictable, you know?
If you look at the trend, sustainability finance have the same, give you the same return than non-sustainability investment right now. If you look at some trends and you read about it, this is what you read a lot. On sustainability finance, you need to understand that this is the way you will help your company to, in a way, to manage their stakeholders. If you take example, some industry that need to evaluate because their customer don't want anymore to buy some stuff from China. They want to maybe have access to product more local. How you will change? You want to buy the supplier. So this is the finance, sustainability finance, but the sustainability finance group always want company to make money. The purpose of doing this is to help the company to make more money, but in a way to manage their climate risk, to say, okay, perfect. The world is changing. How I can adapt to make sure that I'm ready. If you look at electric car, like 20 years ago, it's not a lot, but now everybody's moving towards electric cars, all the big ones. Okay, so how you in finance, sorry, my kids are going to play hockey and making a lot of noise. I'm really sorry. So how you will help like company maybe to think about the example, take Leon, the company that do trucks, electric trucks. Okay, so they decide to do electric one. Perfect. So how maybe we can help them to buy a clean tech that will accelerate their mission to be more electric. This is one. But for me, we need to have more sustainability finance group and advisor to help our company, because government and legislation are coming. Like the Canadian Minister of Environment will pull out his pathway the 30th of March. So after that, a lot of companies will have to help Canada to meet their target of 45% reduction. So a lot of industry will have pressure. So this sustainability finance group will help them to do that. That's the opportunity or the career path that you can choose. And if you like finance, this is a good path.
Thank you.
Do you have another questions?
Yes, I have a question on my end. Hi, Sonia.
Hi.
Great presentation. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
doing it. Can you see me? Yeah.
I'm trying to see you. Yes, I like to see people when you talk, but so I'm moving my cursor to find the person. Can you say your first name? That will be easy.
Yes, it's François.
Oh, c'est François. Yes, sorry.
Yes.
I didn't recognize you. I'm sorry.
No worries. My question was, do you think there's any industry maybe that needs more focus in a sense where commercial banking can have an impact? I'm sure some people might wonder, so I was just wondering if any thoughts on that, or if on that, please.
This is a good question, really good question. I will say that we need to work all the industry in parallel, because you see a lot of news on oil and gas industry that we say that we need to reduce their, okay, perfect. Oil and gas to the day they stop, no more. Perfect. How we have the truck, how we supply ourselves. So for me, today is not just one, are the tractor of the agriculture work if they don't have gasoline anymore. So my point is today, I think personally, and a lot of literacy say the same, we need to work all the industry in the same rhythm, because they're all connected. One industry can be an input for the other one and vice versa. So you need examples, say, perfect, we reduce our dependency on oil and gas. Perfect, I'll agree on you. 10%, perfect. How we move to electrify our highway, how we electrify our transport, how we electrify a lot of stuff that today is not. Also the component, some of the component of the way we build buildings use the powder of carbon. So what do we do with this? One thing is important to say, all the industry need to move together, but what I think is important also is how we can capture maybe the carbon CO2 and take out the chemistry, take out the carbon and the other one, split it, and maybe isolate it to make sure that stop polluting. That can be an option also, but all the industry need to move together, because if not, we'll break the chain.
Okay.
That answer your question?
That makes sense. Yeah. Thank you very much for the thorough
Thank
answer.
you for your question, François. Somebody have a question also?
Yeah, I have a question, Sonia.
Go, Nick.
So we take all these industries, and this question is kind of looking into how the banks can reduce their emissions from their investments.
Yeah.
It's still very not well, there's not many solutions out there, but do you have any favorite, solutions that you're looking into, or that you think might solve the problems of how to either measure or reduce the emissions that come from your portfolio?
I think we really, all banks need to work with the client to transition. That's one thing. And I think all banks start to do, like I said, sustainability linked loan, that you give condition on the rate of the loan, and the condition depend on the target of the company. I think this is something that we need to push forward, but this is a transition loan. I would say all banks need to do maybe more green loans, meaning that will lend specific money to specific project that would really have a green impact and reduce. I think also that banks need to work with all their different clients on the different industry to make sure that they're moving at the same pace. And maybe also one thing I think it's important is if we want is to understand, is to gather data, because one thing is really hard today is the data. A lot of companies don't publicly disclose their footprint. So if you don't disclose it, banks need to take assumption. So it's not based on real data. So this is something I think banks will need to work more together and with the government and all the stakeholders to see how we can have more data to be able to really see the impact. And the impact also of not meaning bad impact of the loan portfolio today, but the improvement also. Because if we're always based on assumption, maybe we do better improvement that we think we are doing, or vice versa, we can do less that we think we're doing. So this is, I think, is one major issue that we face and this will be. And also, I think we need to invest, everybody needs to invest more in clean techs. We need to help that the technology. And for me, it's like, it's about like 20 years ago when we start to have computers and we invest in fintech and all this, but this now today we're in clean tech world. So we need to invest and trust them and help all the students are doing research to make them money to see if their idea is working or not. This is what I think.
Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome. So I see some hand raised. Who is the first?
Hi, it's me.
Hi.
Well, first of all, thank you for the presentation. It was great. I'm sorry I don't have my camera on. It's not really working.
It's okay.
I wanted to ask, how often are loans denied to companies because the company itself does not meet the ESG standards, or the project they're trying to fund does not meet any ESG standards?
I will say today we're in process to include those. So we have open dialogue. The bank, national bank, I will talk for the national one, don't have a position that will disinvest. So if the company will have an open dialogue with them, we'll encourage them to have ESG criteria, but we also educate them. And that's why now we have an advisory team that do that. This is a financial stability also option. So we'll not deny a client. What we ask them is say, hey, listen, National Bank now are integrating ESG criteria. And we have some question related to that on the framework we ask you. So how you will integrate those in your company? Because you need to understand that for all banking industry, if your company don't integrate ESG criteria, in the long term, those one will be bad credit. Why? Because the investor will disinvest from those companies. Customer will don't want anymore those companies. So this is a risk. But prior us to say, no, we don't lend you money, we'll try to work with them. Because not everybody are at the same place. Also, not everybody have the same capacity. Because sometimes if you're a company, you're 2 or 5, is that the same if you're 20 or, say, depending on the number of your revenue also. So I think right now we help them to transition and support them in there. But we need them to have a certain desire to do better. That's answer your questions?
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome. I see other hand raised like.
Yes, hi. So
Hi.
thank you for the presentation. I
Welcome.
was wondering, so I've been looking into ESGs for the past like few months, and I came across a report that has been that came out from the RIA, the Responsible Investment Association. And one of their key findings says that many many advisors for like banks and multiple of those say that one of the largest concerns that they have is greenwashing and a lack of standards. Do you know what National Bank, or just, maybe in general also the other banks, are doing to address those concerns?
First at the National Bank, for us, we don't do greenwashing or social washing. National Bank will disclose what we really do. And I will say we are a little bit shy sometimes to say everything we do. And this is something that we, from the last 2 years, we improved the disclosure to make sure that everybody knows what we exactly do. But all the time we disclose, we tell how we do it, the process. And when we can, we say the KPI. So I think about some CP, like a advisor investment in our side, they want to have data. And one example, we say that this investment is ESG related because we're able to have the process to explain why we say that. So we'll never put out a product that is ESG related that is not robust on the process to put it in the market. That's answer your question?
Yeah, thank you very much.
My point is, like Deutsche Bank have a scandal a couple of months ago that they were saying that they sold some product, they were sustainability, but at the end they didn't. But us, we do sustainability bonds, but we have an audit of our process and we have a letter of opinion saying that the way we do it is it's all good. So this is the way we work, because greenwashing and social washing can kill a company.
Alrighty. Well, thank you very much, Sonia. I hope
Welcome very much to you.
I hope we all learned, what it takes to, work in this industry, sustainable finance, just how important and how much of a need there is for upcoming people in finance to understand the implications that finance has on the environment and and climate change overall. So big thanks to you. Big round of applause.
Thank you very much to all of you. But Nick, if I can add, like today is really hard for anybody to hire in ESG. So if you want to do, you will have a certain job when you finish school. That's certain. It's like really difficult to find people right now.
Hear that, guys? Great.
So,
Alrighty.
thank you.